public consultation is usually a process where governments, organisations or governing bodies seek input and feedback from the public about a proposed policy, law or project. The goal is to gather a wide range of opinions and concerns from citizens, allowing them to have a say in decision-making processes that may affect them. This can be done through surveys, town hall meetings, online forums or other forms of outreach. However, there are many negative perceptions associated with public consultations, particularly the belief that they are more often a formality where the governing body has already made up its mind and is not genuinely interested in changing its plans based on public input. Some people feel that consultations are used to create the appearance of democratic participation, even though the outcomes are predetermined. Others argue that consultations can be poorly designed, making it difficult for the public to engage meaningfully, or that they may be biased towards certain groups, leading to unrepresentative feedback. These factors can lead to mistrust and frustration among citizens who may feel that their voices are not truly heard or valued. A choice architecture refers to the way options are presented to people in a decision-making process. It involves organising and framing choices in a way that influences how people make decisions, often without them realising it. For example, if a grocery store places healthy foods at eye level and unhealthy foods on the top shelf, it can nudge shoppers to make healthier choices. The goal of choice architecture is to guide people's decisions in a certain direction, while still allowing them to make their own choices. Auckland Transport, a very influential and critical governing body with a remit across the whole of Auckland, has requested our feedback on bus and ferry services for the Whangaparoa Peninsula. This feedback is being sought within the strategic planning timeframe of the expected opening of the long-awaited Penlink road connection that will open up choices for some residents of the peninsula to avoid travelling through Silverdale for some of their journeys and create new possibilities. Every household on the peninsula should have received a copy of the Whangaparoa Transport Study. Auckland Transport have made this available as an easy-to-understand communication to all households of the peninsula and have invited feedback and comment. The feedback is being framed into three choices which most of us have interpreted as limiting options. An option is usually presented as one of a number of choices within a restricted number of possibilities. An option is a way of restricting choice. And most of the people we have spoken with see these three options from Auckland Transport as very restrictive indeed. The purpose of this video from KWGS is not to go through these options in detail. The interaction that we have had with a number of people would indicate that any option involving Penlink is really quite difficult to think about since we have not yet experienced its impact on our travel needs, and in any case, it's a number of years from being made available to us. Another resonating point of view would suggest that more people would like more choice and options around ferry services, especially on weekends. Importantly, people would like to see a more comprehensive provision for getting to and from the ferry terminal, better parking facilities, and a more thoughtful set of facilities provided while waiting for ferries. For anyone looking at the three areas where feedback is requested, it is understandable that they might feel constrained and restricted by what is presented. The Gulf Harbour Ferry Users Group administrators took a proactive step with Auckland Transport and met with them at the Yacht Club last Monday, the 11th of November. The discussion was constructive and also served to clarify a number of concerns raised by the users group. The Ferry Users Group expressed a concern that the study has created an invisible east-west divide brought about by restricted access to Silverdale from east of Stanmore Bay, due to frequently experienced traffic delays from Coast Plaza back through Little Manly compared to fairly straightforward access from the western sector. And this is compounded by the relative fragility of access in the event of an accident or other cause of delay. There are extremely limited opportunities to widen the road out to Manly and beyond. In addition, the 17-kilometre drive from Army Bay and Gulf Harbour to Silverdale takes at least 20 minutes, which is only likely to worsen. Auckland Transport responded by saying that this Whangaparoa Transport Study is not intended to separate our community into an east versus west categorisation, where the peninsula is divided into two by the Penlink Stanmore Bay intersection. They also made it clear that this study is not about three restrictive options, and in fact, they described them as scenarios within an overall framework. Auckland Transport made it clear that these scenarios are not the only ones that they are considering, but that they are seeking our feedback on these and other options. They strongly encouraged us to look at the feedback form responses number 7 and response 8, and there's a space there for other, and to check that box and make suggestions there which point to other scenarios which would be more acceptable. If you need more space, we would recommend stapling or somehow attaching more comprehensive comments to your response. KWGS have created this video because we think that it is very important that our communities along the whole peninsula engage with this study. And while we can see that it is understandable to see the scenarios presented as being restrictive and maybe even deliberately constraining, we would encourage everyone to see them as some scenarios within a framework and through providing full answers to feedback, especially in the space provided in answers 7 and 8, to help Auckland Transport to understand the real transport needs of our community. From all of the feedback that we have received, we would expect that there will be substantial support for improved services for the ferry and facilities. However, the current 3 scenarios seem to present an either-or kind of response. Auckland Transport communicated to the Gulf Harbour Ferry Users Group that their intent was not to constrain or to force restrictive choices, and so KWGS would like to encourage everyone to engage, to give comprehensive feedback in the other options on questions 7 and 8. In closing, we would like to thank the Gulf Harbour Ferry Users Group for taking the initiative in speaking with Auckland Transport on behalf of all of us. It is refreshing to be part of a community that seeks to be positive in finding actions it can take, rather than sitting in our homes and shouting points of view across the increasingly widening divide that social media platforms often facilitate. That positive, proactive action certainly resonates with all of us at KWGS. Thank you.